Howdy, hello, and welcome to our fourth podcast episode, an epic crime thriller unfolding in a world of deceit, betrayal, and revenge. I'm Thomas, and I am here with my very good friend, Timothy. Tonight, we are going to discuss a film called The Departed. There will be spoilers. The Departed is a 2006 American epic crime thriller film, directed by Martin Scorsese, about two moles within the Irish mob and the Massachusetts State Police, who try to identify each other while navigating through betrayals and double crossings. To start with, I liked the film. But Tim, did you enjoy The Departed?
Well, Thomas, I did enjoy The Departed quite a bit. It was an intense thriller with some great performances by the cast, although I must say that it wasn't my favorite Martin Scorsese film. I found myself more engaged in Goodfellas and Casino, which also happened to be among your favorites, Thomas.
Well, Tim, you are absolutely right about my love for those movies as well. But The Departed had its own unique charm that drew me in from the start. I think what really stood out was the way it combined elements of both American and Hong Kong crime dramas while still maintaining its own distinct style. And let's not forget Leonardo DiCaprio's performance. He was absolutely brilliant as Billy Costigan.
Well, Thomas, I do agree that Leo did a great job in the film. However, I have to say that I found myself more drawn to Mark Wahlberg's portrayal of Dignan. His character was both hilarious and heartbreaking at times, and he brought a certain level of authenticity to the story that I really appreciated. As for the plot, while it was engaging enough, there were moments where I felt like it dragged on slightly too long or relied too heavily on cliches from other crime dramas.
Ah, yes. Mark Wahlberg was indeed fantastic in the film as well. But let's not forget about Jack Nicholson's performance as Frank Costello. He was absolutely chilling at times. As for the plot points you mentioned, Tim, I can see where you're coming from. However, I think that those moments were necessary to fully immerse us in the world of these characters and showcase just how twisted their lives had become due to their double crossings and deceit. Another thing that really stood out for me was the way Martin Scorsese handled the themes of loyalty and betrayal throughout the film. The constant questioning of who could be trusted kept me on edge from beginning to end, which I think is a testament to his direction and writing skills.
While I can appreciate the complexities of these themes and how they were handled by Martin Scorsese, I have to admit that there were times when I found myself getting confused about who was actually working for whom. The double crosses were so numerous and intricate that it became difficult to keep track of everyone's loyalties. However, this did add an extra layer of tension to the film, which I can certainly appreciate.
That's true, Tim. The sheer number of double crosses in the film could be overwhelming at times, but it also highlighted how dangerous and unpredictable this world was for all involved. It showed that no one was truly safe from betrayal, which added to the overall sense of doom and paranoia present throughout the story. Overall, I would say that The Departed is a solid crime thriller with some fantastic performances by its cast. While it may not be my all-time favorite film in the genre, it does offer an engaging and intense experience that will keep viewers on the edge of their seats until the very end.
Well, Tom, I have to agree with you on most points. The Departed is indeed an entertaining and well-made film that offers plenty of thrills and surprises along the way. However, there were moments where I felt like some characters' motivations could have been explored further, or if certain plot lines had been streamlined slightly, it would have made for a more cohesive viewing experience. But nonetheless, this is still one of Martin Scorsese's stronger efforts, and definitely worth checking out for fans of the crime thriller genre.
Well said, Timothy. The Departed certainly has its merits and is definitely worth watching for those who enjoy crime thrillers. Now, let's talk about some of our favorite scenes from the film. For me, one of the most memorable moments was when Billy Costigan discovers that his partner Sullivan is actually working for Frank Costello. That scene had so much tension and drama packed into it that I found myself completely engrossed in what was happening on screen. It also showed how far both characters were willing to go to maintain their cover identities, which added an extra layer of complexity to their relationships with each other.
Absolutely, Thomas. That scene was indeed quite intense and, well, executed by both Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon. Another favorite moment of mine occurred later in the film when Frank Costello confronts Billy about his true identity during a meeting at a Chinese restaurant. The way Jack Nicholson delivers that monologue is absolutely chilling, it really. Shows how manipulative and dangerous Frank can be when he wants something. It was also interesting to see how this scene reveals more about Billy's character as he struggles with the moral dilemma of having to kill his own mentor figure in order to protect himself from being exposed.
Indeed, Timothy, that was another great scene in the film. The tension between Frank and Billy really comes to a head during that confrontation at the restaurant. It's clear that both characters are beginning to realize just how far they've gone into this dangerous world of deceit and betrayal. And you're right about Jack Nicholson's performance in particular. It was truly chilling yet mesmerizing at the same time. Now, moving on from our favorite moments in The Departed, let's talk about some of its influences or inspirations from other films or even real-life events, if any. I know that this film was actually a remake of an earlier Hong Kong production called Infernal Affairs. But what else do you think contributed to shaping the final product we see on screen today?
That's an interesting question, Tom. As mentioned before, The Departed is based on the 2002 Hong Kong film Infernal Affairs, directed by Andrew Lau and A.M. Alam. Mac, which itself was inspired by a true story about two undercover cops in Hong Kong during the 1990s who had to maintain their identities while working within rival triad organizations. However, it's worth noting that Martin Scorsese made some significant changes to the original material for his American adaptation, including adding more characters and subplots, as well as shifting the setting from Hong Kong to Boston, which added an extra layer of authenticity to the film. Additionally, there are also elements from other crime dramas, such as Serpico starring Al Pacino, which deals with corruption within law enforcement agencies, and Goodfellas, directed by Martin Scorsese himself, which explores themes of loyalty and betrayal within organized crime syndicates. These influences, combined with excellent performances from the cast, resulted in a gritty yet engaging film that managed to stand out among other crime thrillers released during its time.
Absolutely, Tim. The Departed is truly a testament to Martin Scorsese's skill as a director and storyteller, his ability to blend elements from different sources while maintaining a cohesive narrative is nothing short of impressive. And let's not forget the incredible performances from the cast, especially Leonardo DiCaprio, who really immersed himself into his role as Billy Costigan. As we wrap up our discussion about The Departed, I would like to know your thoughts on the ending specifically. Do you think it was satisfying, or did it leave anything to be desired in terms of closure for both characters and themes explored throughout the film?
Well, Thomas, personally, while I thought the ending was well executed and quite fitting, given the events that unfolded during the course of the film, I couldn't help but feel a sense of melancholy afterward. The final scene where Billy dies in Cullen's arms, after confessing his true identity, really drove home how far both characters had come, only to ultimately meet such tragic ends. It also highlighted themes like loyalty and honor, which were repeatedly challenged throughout the story, but ultimately proved futile in this twisted world of crime and betrayal. That said, I do think that overall The Departed provided an engaging experience with plenty of thrills and surprises along the way, while still managing to explore deeper themes about morality and corruption within both law enforcement agencies and organized crime syndicates. It's certainly one of Martin Scorsese's stronger efforts in this genre, which has left a lasting impact on audiences since its release back in 2006.
Oh, yes. The soundtrack for The Departed is truly amazing and adds so much depth to the overall viewing experience. Martin Scorsese collaborated with legendary composer Howard Shore, known for his work on films like the Lord of the Rings trilogy and Silence of the Lambs, to create a hauntingly beautiful yet tense musical score that perfectly complements the film's themes and tone. The soundtrack features an eclectic mix of genres, including traditional Irish folk music, classical pieces, and even some contemporary rock songs. For example, the use of traditional Irish jigs during scenes set in Boston's working-class neighborhoods adds a sense of authenticity, while also underscoring the film's themes of identity and belongingness. One particularly memorable scene involving Billy Costigan's undercover work at a funeral home is accompanied by an eerie rendition of Danny Boy, which not only heightens the emotional impact of the scene, but also serves as a poignant reminder of the personal sacrifices both Colin and Billy must make in their pursuit of loyalty and honor. Another standout element of The Departed soundtrack is its use of classical music. Howard Shore incorporates pieces by composers like Bach, Mozart, and Tchaikovsky to create a sense of elegance and sophistication that contrasts sharply with the gritty criminal underworld portrayed on screen. This juxtaposition further emphasizes themes such as the blurred lines between good and evil, as well as the corrupting influence power can have over individuals. Last but not least, there are also several contemporary rock songs featured in The Departed that help to anchor the film in its early 2000s setting, while also adding an extra layer of edge and excitement to key sequences. Songs like Baby, Please Don't Go by Big Joe Williams, and Them, and Gimme, Shelter by the Rolling Stones are expertly woven into the narrative, providing both dramatic tension and emotional resonance throughout. In conclusion, the soundtrack for The Departed is an absolute masterpiece that deserves just as much praise and attention as the film itself. Howard Shore's collaborative efforts with Martin Scorsese have resulted in a hauntingly beautiful score that perfectly captures both the emotional depth and cinematic grandeur of this epic crime thriller. Now, Timothy, as we wrap up our discussion about The Departed, let's talk about the incredible cast and their performances in this film. I believe Leonardo DiCaprio truly shined as Billy Costigan, bringing both vulnerability and strength to his character. His ability to portray Billy's internal struggle between loyalty to his friends and family versus staying true to himself was absolutely captivating. On the other hand, Mark Wahlberg gave an equally impressive performance as Dignam, providing much-needed comic relief throughout the film while still maintaining an air of danger around him. His chemistry with both DiCaprio and Damon on screen was electric and really added another layer to their characters' relationships.
I could not agree more, Tom. The casting for this film was truly exceptional, and each actor brought their game to the table. Leonardo DiCaprio's portrayal of Billy Costigan was nothing short of brilliant. He perfectly captured both the innocence and vulnerability of his character, while also displaying an incredible depth of emotion throughout the film. As for Matt Damon as Colin Sullivan, he did a fantastic job in showing the gradual corruption of his character over time due to his deep involvement with Frank Costello's organization. Their performances together were simply outstanding and really helped drive home the complexities of their characters' relationships.
Absolutely. Both actors had great chemistry on screen, which added an extra layer of realism to their characters' interactions. Another standout performance for me was Jack Nicholson as Frank Costello. His portrayal of a ruthless and manipulative mob boss was both chilling and mesmerizing at the same time. His iconic monologue about the nature of crime and loyalty is one of my favorite scenes in the film, thanks in large part to Nicholson's powerful delivery.
Indeed, Thomas. Jack Nicholson's performance as Frank Costello was truly haunting and memorable. He managed to balance the character's menacing demeanor with moments of vulnerability that made him all the more unpredictable and dangerous. His ability to switch between charm and intimidation within seconds was simply masterful, and it was clear why he was such an influential figure in the criminal underworld portrayed in The Departed.
Well said, Tim. Lastly, I'd like to touch upon Martin Sheen's portrayal of Captain Queenan and Alec Baldwin as Colonel Dugan. Both actors brought their own unique charm and presence to their roles, adding depth and complexity to the film's themes. Their characters served as a stark contrast to the main protagonists, representing the corruptive influence that power and authority can have on even the most well-intentioned individuals.
Absolutely, Tom. Martin Sheen and Alec Baldwin were both fantastic in their roles, adding an extra layer of authenticity to the film's setting. Their characters served as a reminder that even within institutions meant to uphold the law, there are those who will go to great lengths to protect their own interests at the expense of justice and integrity. Overall, I think it's fair to say that The Departed boasts an incredible cast who brought their game to the table and helped make this film truly memorable and entertaining experience for audiences everywhere.
Absolutely, Tim. As we've discussed, The Departed is truly a masterpiece in terms of its performances, writing, direction, and overall execution. One aspect that really stands out for me is how seamlessly Martin Scorsese blends elements from different genres to create a unique and engaging viewing experience. The film's pacing is excellent. It starts off with an intense and fast-paced introduction before slowly building up the tension throughout its runtime, eventually reaching a climactic ending that leaves audiences on the edge of their seats.
I couldn't agree more, Tom. Martin Scorsese's direction in this film is simply phenomenal. He manages to create an immersive and gritty world filled with complex characters and morally gray areas without ever losing sight of the story's core themes. His use of cinematography, editing, and sound design all work together seamlessly to heighten the emotional impact of each scene, while also maintaining a sense of realism that is crucial for a film like this.
One particular scene that comes to mind when discussing Scorsese's direction is the infamous rat scene where Billy confronts Colin about his true identity as an undercover cop. The tension in this scene is palpable, and it's largely due to Martin Scorsese's skillful handling of the camera angles and editing. The close-ups on both actors' faces during their intense conversation, really, convey the emotional turmoil they are going through while also adding an extra layer of intimacy between the characters and the audience.
That scene truly is a testament to Scorsese's skill as a director. The way he uses close-ups and sudden cuts to heighten the tension and keep the audience on edge throughout the conversation is absolutely masterful. It's also worth noting how this scene perfectly encapsulates one of The Departed's key themes, the blurring of lines between loyalty, betrayal, and identity.
Absolutely, Tim. This film also explores the concept of duality quite extensively through its characters and their relationships with each other. From Colin Sullivan's double life as a cop and an informant for Frank Costello to Billy Costigan's struggle between his loyalty towards Colin and his sense of duty towards the police force. The Departed expertly weaves together multiple storylines that all converge at the climactic ending.
That's true, Tom. The film's complex narrative and intricate character arcs really make it stand out among other crime thrillers. Each character has their own motivations, secrets, and desires, which makes them feel more realistic and relatable despite being part of a criminal underworld.
Agreed. It's worth mentioning that The Departed also features some memorable dialogues and exchanges that have entered popular culture. Scorsese lines like, "I'm gonna need you to find out who Wookieed the rat," and Tell Me Your Friend, Now You Tell Me How It All Ends have become iconic in film history due their impact on audiences and pop culture generations alike this podcast?
Absolutely, Tom. As we've discussed, The Departed has had a significant cultural impact since its release in 2006. From its memorable quotes and scenes to its influences on subsequent crime thrillers and mobster films, this Martin Scorsese masterpiece continues to resonate with audiences around the world. One aspect of The Departed that has stood out is its portrayal of a gritty yet glamorized criminal underworld. While some may argue that this romanticization of crime can have negative consequences, there's no denying that it adds an extra layer of intrigue and excitement to the film. The Departed's characters are complex and multidimensional, making them both fascinating and relatable even as they engage in morally questionable action. Another aspect of The Departed's cultural impact can be seen in its influence on pop culture more broadly. The film has spawned countless memes, references, and homages across various media platforms such as television shows, music videos, and even video games. Its iconic lines and scenes have become part of the public consciousness, further solidifying its status as a modern classic.
That's very true, Tim. The Departed's cultural impact extends beyond just film as well. The film has inspired numerous adaptations, including a successful stage play which premiered in London's West End in 2015. Additionally, the themes and characters from The Departed have been explored further in various forms of media, such as literature with books like The Departed, a novel by Kevin Higgins, and even comic books with the Departed limited series published by Marvel Comics in 2014. Furthermore, the film's soundtrack has also become a cultural phenomenon in its own right. The hauntingly beautiful score composed by Howard Shore perfectly complements the gritty and intense on-screen action, creating an unforgettable auditory experience for viewers. The soundtrack features an eclectic mix of traditional Irish folk music, classical pieces, and even contemporary rock songs, showcasing its timeless appeal across various generations. In conclusion, it's safe to say that The Departed has had a profound cultural impact since its release over 15 years ago. Its influence can be seen not only in film, but also in literature, theater, comics, and even music. The film's complex characters, gripping narrative, and masterful direction have solidified its place as one of the greatest crime thrillers ever made, and will undoubtedly continue to inspire future generations of filmmakers for years to come.
Absolutely, Tom. As we wrap up our discussion about The Departed, it's safe to say that this film is truly a masterpiece in every sense of the word. From its gripping narrative and complex characters to its brilliant direction and haunting soundtrack, The Departed has left an indelible mark on cinema history. It's a testament to Martin Scorsese's talent as a filmmaker that he was able to expertly blend elements from different genres while still maintaining a sense of authenticity and realism throughout the entire film.
I couldn't agree more, Tim. As we sign off for today's episode, let me just say how grateful I am for the opportunity to discuss such an incredible movie with you. Your insights into both the technical aspects as well as the themes explored in The Departed have been absolutely fascinating to all our viewers out there. We hope you enjoyed listening to us chat about this amazing film as much as we did recording it.
And don't forget to share your own thoughts and opinions on The Departed with us in the comment section below. We'd love to hear from you all.
Also, if you haven't already, please like, subscribe,
and hit that notification bell so you never miss another episode of our YouTube podcast. Until next time, thank you for joining us on this journey through cinema history.
That's a wrap, folks. Thanks again, Tim, for an amazing discussion about The Departed. Remember to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss another episode of our YouTube podcast. We hope to see you all again soon. Bye for now.